Welcome, everybody. And my name is Rafi Ahmad. I am founding member and the Chief R&D Officer at xNARA. And in addition, I also hold a professorship in hospital and universities in Norway. Uh, I'm located in Norway, and today I have the pleasure of having Dr. Naidoo, a renowned, or should I say, a world-renowned Harvard-trained psychiatrist and nutrition specialist. She's also working at the Harvard Medical School. Uh, and Dr. Naidu has authored the insightful book, This Is Your Brain on Food. And this book explores the fascinating connection between nutrition and mental health. And it gives me great pleasure to have Dr. Naidu on the call. And I look forward to this session and learning a lot from Dr. Naidu. Dr. Naidu, if you'd be so kind to please introduce yourself and share your thoughts, what inspired you to write this book, and say a few words about this book as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Rafi, for that great welcome. My book is based on my research and my clinical work in nutritional psychiatry, which is really the use of healthy whole foods and nutrients to improve your mental well-being. And it's actually based largely on one of the mechanisms that connects food to mood, and that is the gut-brain connection, something I know that you know so much about, Dr. Rafi, and have researched. So the gut and brain originate in the exact same cells in the human embryo. And as they divide up apart to form the two different organs in the body, they remain connected throughout life by the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve. And I like to say that, the vagus nerve acts like a two-way text messaging system, allowing these two organ systems to be in constant communication through chemical messages. But the reason I say this about the gut-brain connection is that the gut-brain connection explains the food-mood connection, which really is the basis of my work in nutrition and mental health, and helps people to realize the power of food and nutrients to improve their mental well-being.
Oh, that's really fascinating. Uh, there's a saying in English, in classical English, the gut feeling. And
Yes.
the current research basically has shown that there's this very strong connection between the gut and the brain, and obviously the role of nutrition in mental health. And it's very important, basically, to explore it further. Also, in your book, you explore personalized approach to nutrition, right? And how
hmm
different individuals
hmm
may respond differently to certain nutrients, and why, my set of requirements are different to your set of requirements to a third
Yes.
person, right? Because one
Yes.
size does not fit all. So
Correct.
what are your thoughts on that, and how, what aspects, if you can give some insight that you have covered in your book, and also from your experience,
Right.
as a nutritional psychologist working at Harvard. So,
I think that this is a really important point because even in my clinical practice and my research years ago, when I first founded my clinic at Mass General, I would actually behave differently with even my treatment protocols because over time we have learned that treatment protocols need to be highly personalized to the individual. One example is that I treated a mother, but she brought her younger teenage daughter in with her to a consultation. And as I was asking questions, I uncovered that they had opposite responses to a healthy food, blueberries. And so even with healthy foods, people have different responses, and people may not respond in the same way. So it's becoming clearer that we really need more and more personalized approaches to our nutritional psychiatry treatment plans. I also feel that the research emerges and informs us that we need to understand things, understand the human body, the gut microbiome, a person's response, their genetics, their environment, the exposome, all of these things in order to come up with the best solution for that individual. And also, mental health is front and center following us emerging from the pandemic. People are much more anxious and depressed. Rates have increased in the world. So we are looking for solutions. And there's something so much easier about looking to nutrition, food, and supplements to help fill in those gaps that we may need or have um, as part of a treatment protocol. So some people may take medication, they may need to get a prescription from a doctor, and they really should be having talking therapy anyway, different forms of psychotherapy. But food, nutrition, nutrients are also a very powerful tool to add to this.
Absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with you on this, and I mean, coming from a pharma background myself, I strongly believe that food is one of the best medicines that we can have, all natural in sources. And I mean, that also takes me about xNARA. So xNARA, we are trying to revolutionize basically health and well-being. And
Mhm,
and from a holistic approach, an approach that includes, you mentioned the microbiome, you mentioned the genetics, right? You gave this example how genetics can play a role. So at xNARA, we
mhm,
are taking the microbiome of a person, the genetics of a person, his or her lifestyle, his or her eating habits, and the whole pattern, and trying to come up with a holistic profile where we are designing personalized and precise, because precision is where the genetics comes into play, right? For
mhm,
example,
mhm.
the blueberry example that you gave, maybe the bioactive that is present in blueberry, one daughter is metabolizing it or absorbing it differently from the other, and that is where they set
Yes.
the requirements or to that particular bioactive, or like we call it in xNARA, food and herbal extract is different from a system, and that is what
Mhm,
helps
mhm,
us to give the right dosage to the right individual.
mhm, mhm.
Very fascinating. I mean, and we believe in identifying an individual's uniqueness and creating personalized
Yeah.
supplements and recommendations to address their well-being needs and goals. And these personalized supplements is what we called complements, what we're calling complements, which is
Yeah.
basically complementing an individual's holistic health. Uh,
Mm.
Dr. Naidu, how do you see the concept of complements aligning with the principles you discuss in your book?
So I like the word compliments because I feel like the what we're looking to do, right, is to fill nutritional gaps. So I live in the far northeast of the United States, and there are many people that should or could be tested for vitamin D deficiency because of the area that we live in. That being said, not everyone wants to obtain that through food. Certainly, food is one way, but supplements are another. What I like about the word complements is you're talking about complementing whatever else someone is doing. That could be, in the case of my work in nutritional psychiatry, psychotherapies, and medications. But it conveys a collaboration and a working together with everything else that's going on in your body. Plus, you are also filling in a nutrition gap that someone might have. So I think it's a really cool way to conceptualize it.
I'm really happy that you mentioned vitamin D because we have done several, or we have data from several people who have done our assessments, and vitamin D is one of the vitamins that is deficient in a large percentage of the population, irrespective whether they're
Mm.
in Asia, in Europe, or in the
Mm.
US. And I mean, so I live in a country where there's very less sunlight, right? So vitamin D is
Right.
especially and I mean, vitamin D obviously has very major physiological
Yes.
requirements in the human body. So
Hmm.
so very, very interesting. And also because, you are a psychiatrist by training. So I wanted your perspective on how personalized nutrition and our complements can be essential for optimizing mental well-being.
Mm. So. Just like I mentioned earlier, I worked with this family, and even though I was treating one member of the family, I just uncovered this opposite reaction to a healthy food. You see, even with healthy foods, we can't just make an assumption that it's going to have the same impact on everyone. Therefore, I think we need a system, we need advanced testing, and we need a way to treat individual people, patients, persons with individual or personalized treatments. And that's why I think it's powerful to figure out a way to understand what that person needs, which may be different, Dr. Rafi, from what you need. So what I might need from compliments is going to be different from what you need. And I think that's what makes it important and different and special. Because what you're doing is you're targeting certain conditions. For example, vitamin D is extremely important in anxiety and depression, and it can be beneficial. And there are certain foods that contain vitamin D. Unfortunately, in the United States, a lot of people who eat vitamin D rich foods are eating things like fortified cereals and fortified milk. There's nothing wrong with that technically, but those are not the healthiest whole foods to be eating. Whereas they might be able to take a complement that helps fill that nutritional gap if they may not be getting enough from the food sources that they're consuming. Because the source of what we eat, even though we're trying to give ourselves the vitamins that we are deficient in or lacking or missing, it's still important the quality of the food that you eat. And that's where I think a complement could make it easier for that person.
I mean, that's a great perspective, Dr. Naidu. So at xNARA, we are a strong advocate of complements, which we have selected over time. So we have a collection of over
Okay.
170 ingredients that we have sourced from some of the top vendors through several thousand of literature survey with clinical data. And these ingredients basically include vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and then bioactive compounds, which are coming from natural sources like herbs and food. And I mean, you mentioned about
Mhm,
mental health. We were talking about mental health, sorry. And then we
mhm,
have in our bioactives compounds that have a natural origin, that have, for
mhm,
example, neuroprotective property. And these also
mhm,
bioactive have bioactive compounds, which are medicinal herbs that help improve brain function. These are some of them
mhm,
for traditional medicine from across the world. For example, that can help improve memory improvement,
mhm,
age-related memory loss, and so on. And these
mhm,
have all been, studied for several years with proper clinical
mhm,
data that we are procuring them. So, I mean, I'm really happy that
mhm,
you shared the view that apart from food, these complements or personalized supplements basically are very much needed. That can benefit both mental health and overall well-being.
mhm.
So that's really nice to hear from a world-leading expert like you. Uh, and when we talk about these supplements or complements and the nutrients that there are, uh, one of the questions that comes up is how these nutrients interact with the other nutrients within the body, right? Can
Mhm.
taking extra, complements or supplements in addition to food, can that have an harmful effect?
I think that it depends on the individual and their response to a compliment, to a supplement, to a food. How I want people to start thinking about this is certainly in the United States, there are a larger number of people eating processed, ultra processed foods and not healthy whole foods. So most people go to packaged, processed, frozen food or fast food than they would to an actual whole food. The concept is eat the orange, skip the store bought orange juice. The orange has all the nutrients, vitamins, fiber. The store bought juice probably has a ton of added sugar. So there's an example. How I want people to conceptualize it is have a food first approach for their mental well being, because that is going to help them, and then complement that with other things that they may need through the appropriate testing. I think you and I have agreed, and even in the past, Dr. Rafi, that it's sort of a test, don't guess idea, right? So
Mm,
don't just take something, make sure you get tested, make sure you get the appropriate complement for what you need. Now, once you know that, we have to kind of follow along, or you have to be working with the clinician to assess your response to that. That becomes important as well.
Absolutely.
While it's not prescriptive, it is taking something to maybe, like we said, fill in a gap, help support your mental health, help support your physical health, and we need to follow along and assess to see how you do once you're taking it.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, these specific nutrients obviously play a very important role in several physiological functions, in addition to the psychological
Yes,
functions like, immune response, energy levels, overall activity, and so on.
yes,
Um, and I mean, and you know that there are several vitamins and minerals, actually more than 20 or so,
yes.
right? And
Hmm.
and several hundreds of these bioactives, like I say at xNARA, we have over 150 or so. So it is also the convenience and the accessibility of getting
Yeah.
these supplements or complements which are personalized for an individual is very
Mm.
important. I mean, you don't want to take several capsules or tablets in a day, right? And I've known people who on the shelf every morning they take 10 capsules in the morning and maybe five in the
I know.
evening,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yes, I've seen that.
Yes, so exactly right. So I mean, if you go to a pharmacy or even a departmental store, and if you go to so you see several of these. Some has blueberry extract, strawberry extract, ginseng extract, whatever. Right? So at xNARA, what we
Right.
have done is put all of these into sachets and these powders, and these powders
Mm.
can be dissolved in water, and a glass
Mm.
of water, and you drink it, which is basically
Excellent.
personalized and precise for your need. Plus, obviously, the probiotics. So we give two sachets, one sachet of supplements, which includes vitamins, minerals, amino acids, bioactives, herbs, and food and herb extracts, and then another which are probiotic. Because for the gut, obviously, it is the probiotic
Hmm.
that is very important. Uh, so so how do you see that? Do you think that for people in general, this kind of a convenience will be helpful. Uh,
I think it will be helpful. I think what we need to make sure is that if someone adopts the system of testing to check which complements they need, that they do follow up and they continue. What I find is that even with, say, you mentioned probiotics, people uh, spend money, they get a probiotic, and then after a few weeks, if they forget to take it, they stop taking it. And as you know, with a probiotic, unless you're continuing to take it or you're continuing to eat a food consistently that helps you with your probiotics, or fermented foods, your gut just resumes or goes back to where it was at before you started taking that probiotic. So, in a similar way, I would say consistency is key. It's a pillar of nutritional psychiatry. And if someone is following this plan and working with a clinician, what they want to do, yes, it's much easier to drink something, put a powder into water and have it as a beverage. But we want people to, if they're going to follow that personalized plan, then they should be consistent, because then they're going to be able to observe an impact or a change or feeling better from that. So that does need to be tracked a little bit.
Absolutely, and I think this is where technology can be very helpful, right? Where
Yeah.
resources like an app or the dashboard that we at xNARA have developed, an online dashboard, an app that
Hmm.
can these are tools that can support individuals on the journey towards mental and physical
Hmm.
well-being, right?
Hmm.
Where they can also access all the information regarding to their health report, their training regimes, what they're eating. So we are in a sense,
Hmm.
supporting uh, uh, the client in each and every step of their,
Hmm.
what to eat, when to eat, what kind of supplements, when to take the supplement. And you're absolutely right, right? If you stop taking, for example, either the supplements or the probiotic, you're actually back to zero in a sense.
Right.
Yes, so
That's it.
I completely agree. I completely agree on that, and so we are actually supporting our customers in the whole pathway, so as I can say. So we have also discussed a little bit about you know testing and analysis techniques, right? About gut testing and
Mm-hmm.
genetic
Mm-hmm.
testing. Uh, so I would also wanted to get your perspective on how these can basically help giving a more holistic uh, solution to a particular individual.
Yes, I think that just a sort of a holistic and integrated model of care is so important these days because we can't just be doing one thing. You know, you can't exercise, you've heard you can't exercise out of a bad diet, you can't supplement or complement your way out of a bad diet. We've got to be doing all of these things in conjunction with one another and trying to improve our physical health and our mental health. So I think that these options are providing good solutions for testing, figure out what it is you need from your clinician, then find the right foods that you can consume as well as the complements that you can be consuming to put together a very holistic plan for yourself. And that plan might involve simple things like hydration. Adequate hydration is super important for just lowering anxiety. People don't realize that you can actually feel super anxious if you're dehydrated. Some simple things like that. Exercise improves endorphins, makes you feel better. So all of these things done in conjunction with testing, taking the complements, but also eating whole foods can really help you in your journey.
So I made sure that I hydrated myself before I took the next question, because this is absolutely right, right? One needs to be hydrated to be thinking properly. So,
You're right. It's so true.
yeah, and I completely agree. And like I said, I mean, we are doing both genetic testing from a simple saliva test and making sure
Hmm.
that the user data is obviously taken with utmost care, and the gut
Hmm.
testing with fecal samples, which are done at clinically
Hmm.
certified labs. And then our
Hmm.
algorithm basically works to provide a holistic solution, which includes
Hmm.
food recommendation, lifestyle recommendations, and not least the personalized and precise supplements,
Hmm.
which we are calling complements. So, and I thank you, for your valuable insights. Uh, but before we conclude, do you have any final thoughts on the concept of complements and their potential impact on both mental health and overall well-being?
I think that in the world that we live in, where, none of us is a perfect eater, despite having the knowledge, we may not have, some individuals may or may not have access to the same types of foods. They may not have the same psychosocial circumstances to obtain those foods. They may not have access to care. So I think everyone comes with a different background. And so we need to be as inclusive as possible in these solutions. And I think that while my hope is that people will always include food, hydration, all of these methods, it's really helpful to have a solution that can improve and enhance their mental well-being and their physical well-being. Because one thing doesn't the two go together. The truth is that we're thinking of mental health as metabolic health now, and as you know, metabolic health is impacted so acutely by what we eat and lifestyle factors. So it is all holistic and integrated and meant to help you. And I think it's providing more solutions for people because none of us eats a perfect diet or has a perfect lifestyle. We're all just trying to do the best that we can do with having the knowledge that we have and having the information. So I think it's providing a solution, which I think is great.
I mean, thanks a lot for all the kind words, and thanks a lot for giving us the confidence to go forward. And basically, we want to encourage making informed choices in personalized nutrition
Hmm.
and supplementation. Like I have said, we have a collection of over 150 of such ingredients, which help us make these complements, which are both personalized and precise based on a person's eating habits, lifestyle, taken together with genetic testing and microbiome testing as well.
Hmm.
Uh, and which is a very innovative approach that provides a very holistic profile for a particular individual, his or her needs. Uh, so I strongly believe that by tailoring supplements to an individual's needs, xNARA is revolutionizing the way we are approaching supplementation actually. So, and the integration of these different tools, different ingredients will provide a much personalized and effective approach. So before I conclude, uh, I would like to express my gratitude to you, Dr. Naidu, for taking your time. And I mean, you are an expert, a world-renowned expert in a field. Uh, we as scientists sometimes what we struggle is sending out the message so that people can understand. What I think through your book, you have done that fantastically well,
Thank
and
you.
through your whole
Thank you.
series, and I think and to hear those positive words about us, about xNARA, that we're on the right track, really means a lot. Uh, any other concluding remark that you have for our audience, kind of encouraging them to embark on their own journey towards better well-being and both mentally and physically?
I think that's everyone comes to this with a different level of health. And I think that this could really provide solutions. Just eating healthy whole foods, coming up with a program that works for you, hydrating well, finding an exercise and lifestyle measures that work for you. um, and I think that then getting the right testing from the from a lab, getting the microbiome testing through saliva, stool, all of that really helps to put the pieces together. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You want to put the pieces together to see what it is you need in order to thrive. Right? We want our bodies and mind to be healthy, and this provides these solutions provide a way to do that. So thank you for having me on your program.
And Dr. Naidu, thank you for joining me for this discussion. All of us at xNARA are grateful for your time and your expertise and the ease with which you convey your message. Uh, uh, that everybody can understand. And to our audience, thank you for joining us as we explored the intersection of nutrition, mental health, and personalization with a leading expert in the work, Dr. Ruma Naidu. Keep tuning in for more insightful conversations. And until next time, stay healthy, take care, bye.
Thank you.